You, fine viewers, have been playing great games. Huzzah, the system works, and you've gone ahead and answered our call and told us what they are and why they're great. There's some downright classics, some blazing hotness, and as always, several surprises on this month's People's Choice selections. The first page we turn to this month is all about A Place for All My Books, a puzzly book gathering and sorting and organising game in which players arrange stacks of books in the different rooms of their apartment. When this organisational project is completed, they are then able to admire their accomplishments and gain their rewards. Place for My Books is all about getting the most of the little things in life, small victories, and of course, going into the nearby village and buying more books. Peter E has been thumbing his way through this one, saying simply that it's a cute, cosy race. When I first heard of A Place for All My Books, I thought, that's the name? But then I saw it demoed at the UK Games Expo just past, and I came away thinking, oh, I'd play this. I don't remember too much about it, but I remember it being cute. I remember it making sense, what was happening, and it was all about, little victories in life, and then going out and buying more books, and time management, stress management. Yeah, I'm all for it. You could change the title to make it about board games, and I think the crossover quite shocking. But before the next game, here is a message from the sponsor who, in part, helped make this episode possible.
I invite you to come look at even more board game fun on the companion channel Game Night Picks, where me, Paula, and friends host several more videos, such as Lost in the Shuffle, which explores offbeat board game topics, unique challenges, and games about the games that we all love to play. You'll find a link down in this video's description, so be sure to click it and then come join us on Game Night Picks for even more board game banter and buffoonery with the same magical segues between topics.
For something slightly more treacherous, our next viewer vote went to 1793 Patriots and Traitors, where, surprising no one, 1793, and the banner of revolution is fluttering over France. The old structures of governance have fallen, but food is in short supply, enemies are at the gates, and the press are turning against the people. And this is a multi-use card-powered game where players need to influence different aspects of Paris, the National Convention, the former palace, the Parisian streets, and themselves. Once controlled, each area offers certain benefits to the players, pushing those regimes that could lead to a coup or a civil war. Timothy W hasn't been Les Miserables about, happy when I wrote that, about playing this game, saying this game was a wonderful surprise. It provides a great area control gaming experience that successfully brings out the experience of the French Revolution to the forefront. A lot of time leading the citizen armies in France against European coalition forces, as well as sending members of rival factions to the guillotine. I knew nothing of this game. I was tantalised by the title, but I didn't know anything about it. So I looked into it, and I saw a video from a content creator who I enjoy immensely, and he seemed to like it. So I thought, okay, cool, I'm into this. I like that time period, French Revolution. It's exciting. So I didn't know anything about this, and now I'm tentatively interested in playing it, depending on how actually heavy the game is. With all that revolution, let's hope that the galleries and museums are safe now, because it's time to talk about some classic art. A game where players attempt to predict how many works of art will be present in 5 exhibitions. The riskier the prediction, the more points you get if, of course, your prediction is correct. Players must tactically add and even remove cards from different exhibitions over the course of the round, while they also bid on the final outcome. But the bids are public knowledge, meaning other players will know just how to foul up your plans when trying to make good on their own goals. It's Sarah T that's been brushing up with classic art, saying it's lovely to have a version of this game that isn't ugly. Well, beauty is subjective. Members only? Client's gallery? Some people could find those games gorgeous. Not me. Even I like old games. Anyway, this is a Reiner Knizia game that I've not played. I'm interested in trying it. I like the idea of you know, go big or go home. You want to try to get your bids out earlier, but that gives everyone else so much more time to mess you up. You have to play cards each round. So it could be you messing yourself up at the end of the game when you think, this hasn't gone according to plan. I'm excited to try this one. The next game brewing up some fun times for our viewers is Goldbrow. And is that from 2004? That's a flash from the past. Here, drinkers flock to the summer festivities of an idyllic German village, which does of course mean drinking beer. With breweries and pubs making more money than in the rest of the year combined, it's crucial to be the talk of the town and make the most money. To do this, savvy investors must take ownership of the best run breweries and also build up the size of the beer gardens supplied by the right types of beer. It's Varney T that's been slinging Goldbrow back, saying, while the guests have fun, behind the scenes, there's an all-out war going on. Goldbrow's always been on my list of games where I think, if I saw that for like a tenner, I'm getting it. Then I did look online recently to see how much copies were going for, and it is not a tenner. This could be do a reprint, I feel. But it is a game of kind of like you're building out these beer gardens and you've got to supply them with breweries. So I think there's only 3 actions you can really take in the game. But it is super cutthroat because you're expanding these beer gardens much in the same way. It looks kind of like you're expanding farms and fields in Agricola. You kind of build them out. But you can kind of take over other people's beer gardens and you can move through and you can like merge things together if you grab ownership of something, and it's a really cutthroat game that I genuinely think I would enjoy. I just need to hunt that copy down for a tenner. Roll up now for Kingsburg 3rd edition, which doesn't have anything to do with circuses. The roll-up was because it's a dice placement. It's a game that really also wants you to know that it's not Kingsburg 1st or 2nd edition. And it's not. It's an updated version of the original games with the best bits from the expansions baked right into it. The realm of Kingsburg is under attack. Oh dear. Monstrous invaders are gathering at the borders and the king has chosen you to take charge of a key province. And to do this, players must collect resources, build structures and train troops ready for when each winter comes, because with those winters comes invaders. This is all achieved by placing dice out into the King's Council, and having the most influence makes for powerful actions, but the player who rolled poorest is the first to spend what influence they have. Polly B has been on a roll with Kingsburg, saying, I've always liked the game but never owned it. Having the best bits rolled into one box made for a great opportunity to finally grab it. I'm in the same boat. The sinking ship of board game buying. I've always wanted to play Kingsburg because I feel like I would enjoy it, but it's just never happened. And now you can get a version with all the expansions, the good bits from the expansions at the very least, in the base game, with updated art and stuff. I want it. I want it for a tenner. That's probably not going to happen, but I do kind of want it. I should play it first. I want to try it. There's no need to look behind you, but it is time to talk about Paranoia, the uncooperative board game. Paranoia is a very popular and very silly role-playing game, which has now been recreated in board game form. Welcome to Alpha Complex, the perfect and in no way dystopian city run by the benevolent and infallible computer. Alpha Complex is a dangerous place that's full of mutants, secret societies and other troublemakers. It's quite likely that troubleshooters will die, and it's also quite likely that they will, in fact, themselves be mutants, members of secret societies and or troublemakers. As a troubleshooter, you've been tasked with carrying out the computer's orders in the hope of being promoted through the spectrum of clearance levels, and when a troubleshooter dies, high-tech rapid cloning procedures ensure that they can get back to work almost instantly. But clones are limited, so don't be too frivolous with your clones. John D is actually paranoid, but he's been enjoying this one, saying, want to live in a dystopian city run by a benevolent and infallible computer, join secret societies and get infected with powerful mutations? Who doesn't? We had a great time advancing through the rainbow of clearance levels as we tattled, John. what a word to use, to friend computer about all the treasonous acts our friends had committed. Originally an RPG from 1984 with many re-releases, this board game implementation, bloody heck, does a great job of capturing the chaos of Alpha Complex. We enjoyed it, but keep in mind happiness is mandatory. John said more words than I possibly could. I think you get the gist. It's an uncooperative board game. It's very silly. I want to try. For something slightly less dystopian, but just as cutthroat, it's time to ponder Passinato, where builders in this lovely Italian village are trying to raise beautiful buildings with beautiful views. That's all. What's the worst that could happen? Each round, a single initial bid will determine the drafting order for drafting tiles, and where on the cliffside you can build, how many building blocks you add to your stockpile, and the quality of your new construction. It's key throughout to not only build the buildings with the best views, but also maybe to build in front of other buildings to obscure theirs. KFK has been taking in the scenery in Passinato, telling us that this is a very light, quick and mean game. I absolutely love Passinato. It's one of my favourite games of the last 12 months. When did it come out? It's recent, right? It all melds into one at some point. But I really enjoyed it, and it kind of reminds me of Cities, which is another game I like, but it's not similar, but it has a very similar weight to the game. I just think it's wonderful. It is cutthroat, but it's got great table presence. It's simple to understand, but all your choices are meaningful. And it's fun to be a back and forth of what do I need to do now, paired with how can I most screw over everyone else. It is a mean game, but it's light enough and quick enough and fun enough to get away with it. Powering up next is Runestones. Why doesn't anyone talk about Runestones? It's good. Spoiler. It's good. It's great. It's a deck building and hand management game about crafting artifacts and scoring points. Cards can be used to buy more cards or for their abilities. But when playing cards for their abilities, druids must play 2 and then get rid of the card which was most powerful. This is all in a bid to collect gems, to buy artifacts, to trade in for points, and to get special runestones which offer special abilities. Chris C had been runinating about runestones, saying, I've been interested in this one for years and finally pulled the trigger on it, but it's sat in the collection. Got to play it this weekend and enjoyed this deck building and built-in forced culling. Yeah, it's great. Runestones is a really good game. And I'm saying it, underrated. Underrated. It's good. It is very much a get this to get that to get that to get that to get points kind of game, but it does it in a fun way. Every turn you've got an interesting and meaningful decision to make. You're racing your opponents as well. You're trying to get the best cards. You're trying to get the best runes. There's 2 expansions for it which I've not played, but I like Runestones. It's good. It's a good one. Now we are celebrating the Shogun's birthday in Arigato. Is he making us celebrate it, or is we doing this by choice? Look, it's his birthday in 12 days. So it's time to gather your best artisans, craft magnificent offerings, and deliver them on time to earn his favour. Arigato is a card game where village leaders need to activate specific goals at the end of each round, by first secretly selecting the roles of each of the 5 artisans that they have in their hand. 2 are passed to another player, 2 are used for their resources, and 1 is going to be out there in the village used for its abilities. This is all a tricky and tactical card game of gathering resources to complete goals, but also having the right cards out to gain points and bonus actions at just the right time. Ben W has been enjoying Arigato, saying, this is such a sneaky game that feels like a race where every choice is crucial, but I shouldn't be the one making them. Yeah, I saw Arigato on Board Game Arena, and I was obviously immediately tantalized by it because it's set in feudal Japan. So, you know, I'm a sucker. It's not what I've got a chance to play yet, because I went into it and thought, how the heck does this game work? And I thought, I'm going to have to read the rulebook for this one, which is fine to have to read the rulebook to play a game. But I do know that now that you kind of really got to work out, you've got to hand the 5 cards, you've really got to work out the best way to spend those cards on your turn and make the best decision. The 2 to get resources from, you might want to have those interact with the cards already out in your village, because if you do certain things to the ones that you get resources from, you might get an extra bonus or extra points. And the cards you're passing to another player, that's a whole other thing. You want to look at what they're doing. But you're also trying to specifically get these goals immediately in the game. It's like, I need 3 of the same resources straight away, and that's gotta happen. It's a tricky card game. I think it's going to take people a couple plays to start to get to grips with, but I want to get to grips with it because it looks fun. And we finish this month's People's Choice with an old game with new energy, and that's of course Catan, New Energy. For it's finally the 21st century in the world of Catan, and a place now at a crossroads. Long gone is the agrarian society of the island's Viking ancestors. Is that the theme of Catan? It was Vikings? Who knew? Today's Catanians need energy to keep society moving and growing, but pollution is wreaking havoc on the island. So do you invest in clean energy or opt for cheaper fossil fuels, potentially causing disastrous effects for the island? Catan New Energies is a new standalone game that's, while rooted in the classic Catan mechanisms of harvesting, trading and building, there's new gameplay elements including power plants, energy tokens and environmental events that add new strategies and stories to a familiar foundation. Jake Wise had a newfound energy for Catan, with this one saying, "It's like Catan, but new," which is always something I'm excited about. My favourite Catan's the Rivals of Catan, and I did hunt down those expansions, which took more effort. Anyway, we're not talking about that, but I like Catan. And I looked into this one to see what was new about New Energies, and it looks as though it really is like owning the base game of Catan with an expansion, I feel like. And that's not a jab at the game by any means. The expansion does change a lot, but it feels like, oh, this is a new base game of Catan with an expansion added in, which is power plants. Essentially, you are trying to build out these power plants to get energy, because the energy is going to get you loads of bonuses and stuff. But you are really just doing the Catan stuff. There's a few extra, there's a bunch of extra things that you can do with the energy, and there are these, if there's too much pollution, bad environmental events will happen. And if you go for green energy, then the chit you pull out, because there's a chit pull system, the event could be good. But if you can see that your opponents are going all into bad energy, like my friends, just a bad energy, then you might think, oh, I might as well do it as well. It looks fun. I would like to try it. I'm always up for Catan. I have a soft spot in my heart for it, so new Catan, New Energies, I'm all for it. And that's a sampling of what our viewers have been playing this month. To join the discussion for next episode, follow the link in this video's description to our Patreon to find out how to pick the games featured in the People's Choice, and to see the games on our own personal radars. Continue on to this month's On the Radar episode. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you over there.